In this video, I'm going to show you how to use a REST parameter syntax, which came new as part of JavaScript ES6. So what I'm going to do is create a function. It's just going to sum up two numbers, and then we'll return the result. Please note, as you can see just now, I am using the more traditional function declaration rather than using function expressions, and I'm doing that just to make it nice and easy for people who are not familiar with that syntax. I will do another video on that at some point. Okay, so I'm just going to log to my screen the result of that. So let's take 10 and 20, and you can see it returns back 30 as a result there. So that's all very cool. But what if I want to add 3 parameters? Well, okay, I can create another one. So let's create a new function, and we'll call that sum3, and then we'll take another parameter, which is ABC, and we'll just add on there. So that's return A plus B plus C, and then we'll stick in another number here, 30, and what we'll then do is just change that to sum3, and you can see it adds it up. So we now have 60 an answer. That isn't very scalable though. What if I want to sum up 4 numbers or 5 numbers or 6 numbers or 7 numbers? Right? I can't keep just adding parameters every time I want to add up more numbers. So what we could do instead is create an array of numbers and then pass through that array and then sum it up from there. So let's do that really quickly. So I'll create an array. We'll call it my array, and I will just have an array of 5 numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we've done that, and then we'll create a new function, which we will call sum array. And we'll pass through numbers as a parameter. Then what I'll do is we'll initialize the result to 0. We're going to loop through that array of numbers. So for n of numbers, and we will add the number to the result. Okay, and then we will return our result. And then finally, what we will do is just log out what our result is. So sum array, and then we'll pass through my array, the array we just created. And as you can see, it returns 15. Yep. If I wanted to, I guess I don't really need to create that my array. I could just pass that through as a number like this. I'm sure a lot of you are saying, oh yeah, you didn't need to do a for loop over the top of the array. You could have done a reduce. And yeah, I could have done. I was trying to be simple, but if you want to do a reduce, you can do that. So that would just be a matter of doing return numbers.reduce, and then you would pass through your lambda function. So we would need to pass in a total, and we would also need to pass in the number that we would want, and then we could essentially do a total plus number, and there you go, and same thing works. Okay, so that keeps everybody happy from that sense. Okay, and that's cool. It's also my problem. I can pass through an array, but it doesn't really give me what I was wanting. What I was wanting to do is, rather than pass through an array of numbers, what I wanted to do was pass through each number as a parameter, such as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I can't do that. And this is where the REST parameters operator comes in, because all I need to do is just change that numbers parameter and add in 3 dots before it. 1, 2, 3. And it works. And suddenly it's returning 15 as an answer. And how does that work? Well, essentially what it's doing is taking those parameters 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's converting it into an array. That's the magic behind this. So it converts that into an array of numbers for us, and therefore I can obviously run array functions over the top. I'm sure there's a few of you are thinking to yourself, hang on a second, wasn't there in ES5 an arguments array that forms part of a function that I can access, and therefore I could do the same thing? And you'd be kind of right. So let me show you how that kind of works. So if I were just to comment this out for a second, and then I change this to return arguments and then we just put in an array index there. So you can see 0, it's now returning 1. If I change that to 3, it's going to return the number 4 because that's the 4th index there. And then if I turn 5, 4, there, you can see I've got access to what looks like an array. So you say to yourself, well, if I can access the arguments object, then why do I need to do that? Well, it's not as simple as that, because if I just remove this for a second, so I'm returning numbers reduce, and then I change this to arguments, arguments.reduce is not a function. So the problem that you have there is arguments, although it looks and behaves like an array, isn't really an array, and it's not iterable. And that's why you can't do that. So whereas you don't have that problem with the rest parameters. So now that you know how the rest parameter syntax works, then you shouldn't be too scared when you see that in the field. So a couple of places you may have seen this before is maybe in the math function. So if I do a console.log, and if we just select math.min, for example, and then I just open that up, you can see triple dots syntax, values, and then expecting a number array. So you know how that works now. So because it's triple dot, I can just pass 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it's going to return the minimum value. Yeah, and also if I click here, max, and then you'll see math.max, and then you see triple dot values, and then you can do the exact same thing. So again, we could do 32, we can do 202, 22, and it will return the value. So anytime you see that triple dot syntax, you know that you can just pass through a list of arguments and life is good. So the last thing I want to cover is whenever you're using the triple dot syntax in your own functions, just be aware that it's always going to be the last parameter in your list. Anyway, I hope you got value from this. I think rest parameters is a super cool feature, and hopefully for any of you that's kind of scared of it or not seen it before, it just makes it nice and simple, and you can get on and use it and have fun. All right, thanks. Speak soon.